You got to go back a couple weeks. Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance, VP, had meetings with him where they were laying this deal out, and he pulled that in the room with them.
Right.
Where he was like, well, here's the deal, because they want the mineral rights. And he can't have them with having rights to mineral rights because he's part of the laundering scheme. We got $64 billion missing.
Tyrus and everybody else accuses Zelensky of being part of a laundering scheme. That is, all the money that U.S. is paying to aid Ukraine, Zelensky is taking a skim off of it. Welcome to John Mike Keene, as we let Tyrus, who normally would be eating Greg Gutfeld as a snack, he digs into Zelensky and eats him as a snack instead, and we don't think he's ready.
What do people do who steal money from other people? They have to replace it with new money. And this new money happens to be controlled by one of the most transparent presidents of all time, President Trump. So when he did that to Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance, he hurt the little feelings, and they went to President Trump and they said, he wouldn't do the deal. And he yelled at us and he called us names. President Trump said, cool, bring his ass to the house. And then, it's what always happens.
Yeah.
He walked up in there with his chest out, and then he started to do the same thing to J.D. Vance.
Yes.
And he even made that little threat. And a lot of people keep missing the fact that he said, oh, you're going to feel it. You're not feeling it now.
Yeah.
You know, you'll feel it later. That was a threat. So that's when President Trump said, all right, enough of it.
It does seem like Trump and J.D. Vance, they were just waiting for that opportunity because they knew that Zelensky, anyone who does, remember, the USA has a profile on Zelensky, on his psychological profile, and he's arrogant and he's ungrateful, which is why even Biden yelled at him for not saying thank you enough. So they knew one thing that this little piggy would do is demand more money and not be thankful. They knew it was coming. Now, check this out.
We ain't feeling nothing. You have no cards to play. And then Zelensky really got nervous, and he was like, we're not playing cards. And like President Trump's like, no, you have no cards to play. And he called him out because he wanted the American people to see it all. Because when this all plays out, you're going to see Zelensky is not in it for the Ukrainian people. He's in it for himself. He has made a lot of money.
And this is also about the exposure of Zelensky in front of the American people at that press conference. So much of the left and the pro-Ukrainian war people are saying it was a big mistake for Trump to do this in front of the press and the media. But it was Zelensky who was used to getting positive media coverage. It was Zelensky that thought he was going to turn it back on Trump on what he believed was a very popular war. Trump knew it was actually unpopular. So they both wanted to use the media, and Trump ended up winning because his message represented the Americans, and Zelensky represents Europe.
Has missed a lot of elections, and the Democrats have been a willing partner because that $64 billion went somewhere, and now they got to account for it. And you can't get our money now without accounting for it. When you're laundering and taking money, you can't have books. Yeah. So that's what this is really about. He cannot sign that deal. That's why he pulled that. The president called him out on it.
All right. Well, there you go.
That's an interesting theory. We have a follow-up here on recently, just today, on Greg Gutfeld on what happened since that disastrous meeting involving laundering money between Zelensky and the Democrats. Here's Greg Gutfeld.
President Zelensky writes a letter. So, Kennedy, after that dust-up on Friday, surprise, surprise, we get this letter from that little guy and dressed like G.I. Joe. He writes, Ukraine's ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than the Ukrainians.
Well, actually, Trump wants it more, but it does show that Zelensky buckled. Trump got his way. Trump knew what he was doing. He needed to get a more compliant Zelensky, one that was more on board with wanting peace over laundering money and trying to get his borders to push back on him to a point that would drag Russia into World War III. It's working out well. Trump's plan is working out well. I'm John Mike Keene.